So what you notice here is the outermost layer is this epidermal hair. So the outermost layer in this ground plan of dicotyledonous stem is the epidermal hair. So there is below this, if it arises from the epidermis. Epidermis has cuticle on it. Okay. Below the epidermis is the hypodermis, which are made up of colonchimatous cells, and below the hypodermis is the parenchymatous layer of tissues. So you find the endodermis layer, which is wavy in manner, and the endodermis layer will also have the starch granules present in them. They also have the suberin deposition. Okay, so the Casparian strip you can notice even in them. But what is important for you to observe in case of this arrangement of vascular bundle is all the vascular bundles are arranged in a ring-like manner. They are arranged in a ring-like manner. So we call this type of steel as U steel. And what is the vascular bundle? Vascular bundle is conjoint and open type of vascular bundle. See, conjoint because they are xylem and phloem are present on the same radius. So we call it as conjoint. Phloem is towards the outer side, xylem is towards the inner side. Okay, the xylem, if you look closely, you find that the protoxylem is towards the pith. The protoxylem is towards the pith, and the metaxylem is towards the periphery. So this type of arrangement of xylem, we call it as endark condition. Pith is large. You can see the pith. Pith is also called as medulla. Another name for pith is medulla, and this pith penetrates in between the vascular bundles, which we call it as the medullary rays. Okay, so these are things that you have to see and notice in case of this ground plan of uh, dicot stem. So enlarged section, a small portion of it we enlarge, and we are showing the various tissue layers that are there. So the first layer is the epidermis, and on top of it you can draw this cuticle layer. So they have a multicellular epidermal hairs or trichomes that you can show. They know the uneven deposition of uneven primary layer of cell wall due to deposition of pectin. So this coloncyma, you can show this pectin distribution there. So below that is the parenchyma. Then the endodermis is there. So the endodermis layer, then you have to draw the pericycle, and then you come across the vascular bundle. So vascular bundle has the phloem. Initial layer is this phloem, the bluish colored one. Then they also have this cambium. So since cambium is present, the vascular bundle is conjoint open type of vascular bundle. And you notice this metaxylem, the later formed xylem elements are towards the periphery, and the first formed xylem elements, that is protoxylem, is towards the pith. So this is the pith region. Pith is also called as medulla. So you should remember that pith is also called as medulla. So these are the different regions within the uh, dicotyledonous stem. So let us also understand what are the layers of this dicotyledonous stem. Epidermis is the first layer. It is the outermost protective layer. It is covered with a thin layer of cuticle. So the waxy layer of cuticle. It may bear trichomes. So trichomes might be there and a few stomata. So rather than stomata, it should be called as lenticels. But anyway, it may bear trichomes. The cortex, the region below the epidermis is the cortical region. There are multiple layers of the cells are arranged in the cortex, which is in between epidermis and pericycle. It consists of three subzones, the cortex. So the first is the hypodermis zone, then the cortical layers, and endodermis. The innermost layer of cortex is the endodermis. So that you have to remember about. So there is the cortex has three subzones. What is cortex? The region below the epidermis and the above the pericycle, we call that as cortical region. So you can notice that they are having three subzones: the hypodermis, cortical layers, and there is also what we call it as uh, endodermis, the innermost layer of cortex, which we call it as endodermis. See, the hypodermis is the outer zone just below the epidermis. Okay, it consists of a few layers of collenchyma. The hypodermis is outer zone of the cortex just below the epidermis. It consists of few layers of collenchyma, and you know that collenchyma is a living mechanical tissues, so it provides mechanical strength to the young stem. Okay, the cortical layers below the hypodermis, they consist of the parenchymatous cells, which are rounded thin-walled parenchyma cells with conspicuous, that is visible intercellular spaces you can notice there. Okay, endodermis is the innermost layer of the uh, cortex. They are made up of barrel-shaped cells. The cells are rich in starch grains. So you can notice the starch grain. So it is also called a starch sheath. So that you can notice in case of endodermis layer. So now the stele, if you look into it, consists of the pericycle, vascular bundles, medullary rays, and pith. So the stele consists of pericycle, vascular bundles, medullary rays, and pith. So we have to describe them whenever we are writing about the stele of this dicotyledonous stem. So pericycle, it is present on the inner side of the endodermis. So pericycle is present on the inner side of the endodermis, and it is above the phloem. So you can notice that is the location. So inner to the endodermis and above the phloem, you notice this pericycle, and it is form of semilunar patches. So you can notice here the patches of this pericycle, and they are sclerenchymatous. So the sclerenchymatous, the secondary layer of cell wall is lignified. So you should write sclerenchyma, it should be double layered. The second layer, it should be lignified. The secondary layer of cell wall is lignified. So this is pericycle. It is made up of semilunar patches of sclerenchyma. That is one thing that you have to remember about. So the medullary rays, they are fewer layers of radially placed parenchyma cells between the vascular bundles. So the radially placed parenchyma cells between the vascular bundles. Okay, so or you can also define it as the pith or medulla, which is going to penetrate in between the vascular bundles. We call those layers as medullary rays. So the few layers of radially placed parenchyma cells in between the vascular bundles, we are going to call it as medullary rays. Okay, they are made up of parenchyma cells. So here we don't use any term called as conjunctive tissue. I've already told you conjunctive tissue term, we exclusively utilize it only for the description of roots. Okay, so the parenchyma in between the xylem and phloem patch, we call it as conjunctive tissue. So here, in case of dicotyledonous stem, we are the in between the vascular bundles, the parenchyma tissue, what is there, we call it as the medullary rays. So vascular bundles, if you are going to describe the next part of it, so they have large number of vascular bundles. They are arranged in a ring-like manner, okay, which is a characteristic feature of dicot stem. Here they have not used the term U-stele, EUSTELE. So this sort of ring-like arrangement of vascular bundles, we call it as U-stele, EUSTELE. So that term has not been used here. So remember to write that also. So there is a ring-like arrangement, which is a characteristic feature of dicot stem, and it is the stele is called as U-stele because they have vascular bundles arranged in a ring-like manner. Each vascular bundle is conjoint. Why is it conjoint? Because both xylem and phloem are in the same radii. Phloem is the first part of it, xylem is the second part of it. So each vascular bundle is conjoint and open. So since they have this cambium in between the phloem and xylem, so we call it as open type of vascular bundle. So conjoint and open. And so protoxylem is endark because the protoxylem is towards the pith, facing towards the pith or inner to the tissue. So we call the arrangement of xylem has the endark type of arrangement. So when you are writing, the important point is U-stele, Vascular bundles are many, so they are conjoint, open type, and endark. So these points you cannot miss that. You have to write about them. So pith is the central portion of the stem. It has many. So if you look into this pith, it is also made up of parenchymatous cells with large intercellular spaces. They have large intercellular spaces. So the pith is having parenchymatous cell, which is made up of large intercellular spaces. So that is the description of the dicotyledonous stem. So monocotyledonous stem, if you look into the ground plan and a section enlarged, so how it is arranged, you can just have a look of it. See, there is in first of all in monocot stem, you don't find the difference between cortex and stele. Rather, vascular bundles are scattered, and we call this in the layer below the epidermis and hypodermis. We call it as ground tissue. So we don't call it as cortex, stellar region, so endodermis, they're all not there at all in case of monocot stem. So the vascular bundles are scattered. It is not having a definite arrangement. So in case of the dicot stem, they had a definite arrangement. That is, they were arranged in a ring-like manner, and we called the stele as U-stele. But in case of monocot stem, the vascular bundles are scattered, and we call it as atactostele. Since the vascular bundles are scattered in the ground tissue, this type of arrangement of stele or the vascular bundles in the stele, we call it as atactostele. So it is ATACTO, atactostele. So this is the thing that you notice in monocot stem. So this is ground plan. In the ground plan, you can see the epidermis, hypodermis region, the vascular bundles which are scattered, and you also find the ground tissue. The vascular bundles are scattered within the ground tissue. So there is no difference between cortex, endodermis, pericycle. Those zones are all not here. Okay, and the enlarged section of it, you take just a small part of it and enlarge. You can see the epidermis, which is made up of barrel shaped cells. Then you have the hypodermis. Okay, so below sclerenchymatous hypodermis you have, and many scattered vascular bundles you can notice. So each of this scattered vascular bundle is surrounded by a sclerenchymatous bundle sheath is there. So they are the scattered vascular bundle is surrounded by sclerenchymatous bundle sheath, and they have a large conspicuous parenchymatous ground tissue. So the ground tissue is made up of parenchymatous. So the vascular bundles are conjoint and closed type because you don't notice cambium. Cambium is absent, so monocot stem will never undergo secondary growth. Okay, so what is the vascular bundle? Conjoint and closed type of vascular bundle. Conjoint because phloem and xylem are in the same radii, and closed because they do not have cambium. So the peripheral vascular bundles are smaller. So if you look at the periphery, the vascular bundles are smaller, and whereas the centrally located ones are larger. The phloem parenchyma is absent. So that is one unique thing that you should remember. In the stem, you don't find the phloem parenchyma, monocot stem. Phloem parenchyma is absent, and you can notice water containing cavities here and there. So some of the protophloem gets crushed and they form this water containing cavities. So the those water containing uh, cavities are called as lysigenous cavity. They have not given that name here, but they are named as lysigenous cavity where water is stored. So they are present in the vascular bundles. So for me, I always recognize this slide, permanent slide in the lab, just by seeing this joker face or the skull shaped face that you can see within this vascular bundles. This is how it looks. Okay, so for some of them it looks like a joker face, for some of them it looks like skull. Okay, so seeing this, we easily identify this monocot stem. Permanent slide, it's very easy to identify. So the phloem parenchyma is absent in case of the monocot stem, and they have some of the water containing cavities called as lysigenous cavities, which stores water. They are present within the vascular bundles. Okay, so some of the proto xylem elements, they get crushed and they instead store water. So this water storing cavities are the lysigenous cavities. So they have not mentioned that term in your textbook, but remember they are also called as lysigenous cavities that you notice in this monocot stem. Now the next part that we have to discuss is the anatomy of the cotyledonous leaf. We call it as dorsiventral leaf because you can differentiate between the upper layer and the lowermost layer. So the dorsal side, they are darker in color and they do not have stomata. And this is the exposed region to the sun. The ventral side, you find that they are lighter in color. They are in the shade region. They're not exposed to the sunlight and they have stomata in the ventral side of it. So dorsiventrally, you can differentiate in the leaf of dicotyledonous leaf. That is why we call it as dorsiventral leaf. And from there, and the arrangement of leaf, type of leaf, you know that they have reticulate venation in dicotyledonous leaf, whereas in monocotyledonous leaf, it would be the parallel venation. Monocot of the grass or any monocot leaf, they are exposed to sunlight equally. And both the sides look similar in color. Okay, iso means similar, lateral, bilateral. Both the sides, they are similar in color and similar. They are exposed, both the sides are exposed to sunlight. And you find stomata in both the upper region as well as the lower region. Upper epidermis also has stomata, lower epidermis also has stomata. So amphistomatic, whereas in dicotyledonous leaf, only the lower epidermis has the stomata, hypostomatic. Okay, this is all the on the basis of external type. So in the examination, they might ask you to write dicotyledonous leaf, or sometimes they ask you draw the transverse section of dorsiventral leaf. It implies dicotyledonous leaf. Okay, if they ask you to draw isobilateral transverse section of isobilateral leaf, they are asking you to draw transverse section of monocot leaf. Okay, so first of all, the external features you should know: dicotyledonous leaf, they have reticulate venation. Monocotyledonous leaf, they have the parallel venation. Okay, so if you notice the vertical section of a dicot leaf, so they are the transverse section of dicot leaf. If you notice, they have the epidermis, mesophyll. We don't use the term cortex in leaf. Instead, we use the term mesophyll and vascular system. Okay, so these are the three components of a dicot leaf. So they have an upper and lower epidermis, which comes under this epidermis. Mesophyll, so where they have this chlorenchymatous tissue, that is parenchyma, which is richly filled with chloroplast. We call it as chlorenchyma. And they have this vascular system. So let us understand one by one. See, epidermis, it covers the upper surface, adaxial epidermis, and the lower surface, we call it as abaxial. Adaxial, that is upper epidermis, and lower epidermis, we call it as abaxial epidermis of the leaf. And leaf has a conspicuous, that is a thick layer of cuticle is there in both the upper and lower epidermis. Cuticle is waxy layer. Okay, so this cuticle is present to prevent the evaporation of water from the plant tissues. Okay, it has a conspicuous cuticle layer. So the abaxial, that is the lower epidermis, it is going to have the stomata, that is, it is hypostomatic in nature. In adaxial epidermis, stomata are fewer or absent. They might be very less or absent. So in the lower epidermis, you can see the stomata, that is the uh, abaxial epidermis. Ad is above, ab is below. Okay, adaxial or upper epidermis, abaxial or lower epidermis, they have the stomata. So the epidermis, it covers both the upper surface and lower surface. Upper surface, we call it as adaxial surface, and lower surface, we call it as abaxial epidermis of the leaf. They have a very thick layer of cuticle that is conspicuous, means something which is visible. So conspicuous cuticle layer they have. Abaxial epidermis, they bear the stomata. Adaxial epidermis, stomata are absent, and if present, they are very few. Okay. So the dicotyledonous leaf, the second layer that we are describing is the mesophyll. So the tissue between the upper and the lower epidermis is the mesophyll. So the tissue between the upper and lower epidermis is the mesophyll. It is made up of parenchymatous tissue. They contain chloroplasts for photosynthesis. So the upper and lower epidermis, they consist of this tissue, which we call it as mesophyll. The tissue between the upper and lower epidermis, or you can also call it as ad and ab. Adaxial epidermis and abaxial epidermis, the tissue that is present, we call it as the mesophyll. It is made up of parenchyma richly filled with chloroplast. So parenchyma richly filled with chloroplast is nothing but chlorenchyma. It has two types of cells, palisade chlorenchyma, you can call it as. Here they have used the term parenchyma, and spongy parenchyma. Okay, so palisade is the pillar-like tissues, which are cells which are arranged closely together without intercellular spaces, and they are richly filled with chloroplast. So they are found towards the adaxial epidermis. They are noticed, and they are not noticed in the abaxial epidermis. So the palisade parenchyma is towards the upper epidermis. If some of you find it confusing to use this word adaxial epidermis, you can use the upper epidermis instead of that. So the palisade chlorenchyma or palisade parenchyma is found in the adaxial epidermis. It is made up of elongated cells arranged vertically and parallel to each other. Okay, so it is column-like or pillar-like cells which are arranged parallel to each other with little intercellular spaces. Spongy parenchyma or spongy chlorenchyma, what we call it as, they are oval or round, that is, they are spherical or ellipsoidal shaped cells. It is situated below the palisade cell, and it extends towards the lower epidermis. They are loosely arranged and they have large intercellular spaces. So this you can notice in between the, in case of spongy parenchyma. Vascular system, it consists of vascular bundles. So again, it would be conjoint type of vascular bundle. Conjoint, that is phloem and the xylem are in the same bundle. So conjoint, endark, you can notice. Okay, so but they are closed type. They don't have any cambium. Leaves do not have any cambium. So vascular system, it consists of vascular bundles. So where are the vascular bundles? Notice they can be seen in the vein region. Wherever the veins are there, you can notice this vascular bundles, and mid-rib region also you can notice the vascular bundle. The size of the vascular bundle is dependent on the size of the veins. If they are larger veins, you see a larger vascular bundle. If they are smaller veins, you find smaller vascular bundles. The veins vary in thickness in the reticulate venation of dicot leaves. Okay, midrib would be the largest vascular bundle you can notice. So the veins will be next larger one. So branches of veins, so they would be veinlets. They are much more smaller. Okay, the veins vary in thickness in the reticulate venation of dicot leaves. Accordingly, the size of the vascular bundle also. So vascular bundles are surrounded by a thick-walled bundle sheath cells. So you should remember that the vascular bundles are surrounded by a thick-walled bundle sheath cells. So the description of vascular bundle they have not given. You can make a note of that. Conjoint, closed type, and endark arrangement of xylem. That is the proto that you notice in case of this vascular bundle, conjoint, closed, and endark type of vascular bundle. Okay, so the vascular bundles are surrounded by a layer of thick-walled bundle sheath cells. That is another point that you have to remember. This is regarding the description of dicotyledonous leaf. Again, you should see here they don't have endodermis, they don't have pericycle regions. Cortex, we don't call them. Instead, we are using the term mesophyll. Okay, the region in between the adaxial epidermis and abaxial epidermis, those tissues we call it as mesophyll. So mesophyll has parenchyma, which is richly filled with chloroplasts. You can also call it as chlorenchyma. They are of two types: the palisade chlorenchyma and spongy chlorenchyma. So these are things that you have to remember. So whenever they ask you description of dorsiventral leaf, you have to draw this labeling diagrams, and labeling is important. See, 10 labelings, each labeling you get half mark. So the diagram should be neat. Technically, it should be correct. And 10 labelings, appropriate labelings are there. Each labeling carries half mark each, and you get 5 marks. So this can be given as a diagram. See, from anatomy of the stem, root, and leaf, anything can be given as a diagram, and you should be prepared for drawing it. Okay. So the monocotyledonous or isobilateral leaf. So the anatomy of monocot leaf is similar to that of dicot leaf. Okay, except the mesophyll is heterogeneous in case of dicot leaf, but in monocot leaf it is homogeneous. So the monocotyledonous leaf, we call it as isobilateral leaf. I told you why it is isobilateral leaf, because both the surfaces are getting exposed to sunlight, and both of them are similar in colors, and the stomata is distributed both in the upper epidermis, that is the adaxial surface or layer, and abaxial epidermis, that is the lower epidermis. Both the epidermis has equal distribution of stomata, amphistomatic in nature. So the anatomy of monocot leaf is similar to that of dicot leaf, except it has some differences. Stomata are present on both surfaces of the epidermis. Okay, the upper epidermis has a group of large cells. So the upper epidermis has a group of large cells, and those group of large cells, we call it as the bulliform cells or motor cells. So that has not been labeled here, but it is very important. The upper epidermis has a group of large cells, which we call it as motor cells or bulliform cells. See, this motor or bulliform cells, what they do is they bring about the rolling up of lamina whenever water availability is less. So the motor cells or bulliform cells, they bring about the rolling up of lamina whenever the water availability is less. So when they roll up the lamina, lamina is leaf surface, you know that leaf blade is called as lamina. When they roll up, the surface area exposed for transpiration is less. So they lose very little water by transpiration. So that is the feature that you notice in this monocotyledonous leaf or isobilateral leaf. A group of cells in the upper epidermis, a group of large cells, we call them as motor cells or bulliform cells. What is their main function? They bring about the rolling up of lamina during unfavorable conditions or during lack of water. So when the water availability is less, they bring about the rolling up of lamina and thus reduce the rate of transpiration, because the surface, when the lamina rolls up, the surface exposed to transpiration is very less. So remember about that. So some unique things for this monocotyledonous or isobilateral leaf is stomata are present on both the surfaces, that is adaxial and abaxial epidermis. Mesophyll is not differentiated into palisade and spongy, so they have only spongy chlorenchyma. So this is homogeneous mesophyll, you notice, whereas it was heterogeneous in case of dicot leaf. Then in grasses, certain adaxial epidermal cells along the veins modify into large empty colorless cells. These are called bulliform cells. Okay, so this, see here they have labeled that bulliform cells. So they have the epidermis also has a thick layer of cuticle. So it is a repetition even in dicot leaf. So those repeated points we are not highlighting, but they do have the same things here. So here what you can notice is a group of large cells. So they are on the adaxial, that is upper epidermal cells, along the veins. So wherever the veins are there, so along the veins you find large, empty, colorless cells. These are called as bulliform cells. When they have absorbed water and are turgid, the leaf surface is exposed. When they are flaccid due to water stress, they make the leaves curl inwards to minimize water loss. To avoid transpiration, they bringing about the rolling up of lamina. So parallel venation is noticed in them and is reflected near the similar sizes of vascular bundle, except in main veins. Okay, so parallel venation you can notice here, and the size of the vascular bundle is based on the size of the vein. So that is what you have to remember about it. Now, if you ask me what is the vascular bundle type, sir, in case of uh, the monocot leaf, it is the same conjoint closed type of vascular bundle, and you have this endark condition, conjoint collateral. Conjoint, we are not using the term collateral, but in the earlier textbooks, they were using this term collateral. Okay, so conjoint closed type because they don't have cambium, and endark because the protoxylem is towards the center. Okay, so that gets repeated. So there is nothing unique in that. So the same things are there. So unique features that if you want to identify in the monocot leaf is the bulliform cells present on the upper epidermis. Okay, so the bundle sheath and bundle cap is there for a few of them. So they are made up of this parenchymatous, the sclerenchymatous tissue. Okay, stomata is found in both the uh, adaxial and abaxial. Adaxial is the upper epidermis as well as lower epidermis. Bulliform cells are found in the adaxial or upper epidermis region. So they are a group of cells which are colorless, large and empty. Just above the veins, they are found. We call them as bulliform cells, and they are going to bringing about the rolling up of the leaf lamina whenever. So the leaf in curling, what happens is to minimize water loss, it is because of this bulliform cells. Whenever there is a water stress, that is lack of water availability, so the leaves roll up to avoid transpiration. Okay, so remember about this things that we discussed for today. So you have any doubts, students, you can just ask me today's topic. If you have any doubts, I'll clarify it to you. And some of you are joining in very late. I might not be allowing you from the next class. So you should be on time. Okay. So I begin the class a little late also. I'm giving you some time to be uh, in the class. At the beginning of the session, we are having an interactive session so that you just recollect the previous classes. Okay, so I'm not talking about those who have seen earlier. I'm talking of those who are, I'm also making a note of people who are coming late frequently. Okay, so anyway, attend the classes on time. Uh, and it's very interesting topic that we have discussed. So in today's class, just a gist or a summary in a nutshell is, see, dicot stem and monocot stem we discussed. So important thing, I always focus on the stellar region. In case of dicot stem, the vascular bundles are arranged in a ring-like manner, which we call it as U-stele. What is the type of vascular bundle there? Conjoint open type of vascular bundle and endark type of xylem arrangement. Okay, so why is it open? Because the you are going to ask me about the monocot stem. So the vascular bundles are scattered within the ground tissue. They are also conjoined but closed type of vascular bundle because they do not have cambium, and they have this endark. Endark is a common thing in monocot, dicot, stem and leaf. You notice this endark condition. Only in roots you find exarch. Endark means protoxylem is towards the center of the section and metaxylem is towards the periphery. Okay, so now in case of dicot, you can also notice that apart from the vascular bundles being scattered, they have lysigenous cavity. Okay, in this lysigenous cavity, water is stored. So water is stored in this lysigenous cavity, which you can see in the uh, vascular bundle. So that lysigenous cavity is an important thing. Okay, so the vascular bundle of monocot stem is, it is going to be conjoined, closed, and endark. So the arrangement of this vascular bundles are, they are scattered vascular bundles. So there is a term for that which we call it as atactostele. If the vascular bundles are scattered, we call it as atactostele. Okay, so remember about that. Then we discuss the monocot leaf and dicot leaf. Dicot leaf is also called as dorsiventral leaf. What is the important point that you can notice here in case of the dicot leaf is, they are having a reticulate venation. Monocot leaf has a parallel venation. They have both upper and lower epidermis. Upper epidermis is called as adaxial. Lower epidermis is called as abaxial. So they have the thick layer and conspicuous layer of cuticle. So they have stomata distributed in the abaxial epidermis, or lower epidermis you find the stomata. Upper epidermis, the stomata might be present. If present, they are lesser in number. Stomata is absent, and if present, they are lesser in number. So the mesophyll is heterogeneous in case of dicot leaf. You can find the palisade parenchyma or chlorenchyma, palisade chlorenchyma, and spongy chlorenchyma. Palisade chlorenchyma is found towards the adaxial epidermis. So the size of the vascular bundles is based on the size of the veins. So the largest vascular bundle can be seen at the midrib region. Okay, so it is based on the veins and veinlet sizes the vascular bundles are. So the vascular bundle, again, it is conjoined because xylem and phloem are present in the same radius, and it is closed type and endark. Okay, so the vascular bundle is surrounded by thick layer of bundle sheath cells. So there is heterogeneous mesophyll made up of palisade and spongy chlorenchyma. So these are things that are unique in case of dorsiventral leaf. In case of monocot leaf or isobilateral leaf, what you notice there is the stomata is equally distributed in the adaxial epidermis as well as abaxial epidermis. That is upper epidermis and lower epidermis. They are equally distributed stomata. So you also find that the mesophyll is homogeneous. They do not have palisade chlorenchyma. They have only spongy chlorenchyma. Okay, so the monocot leaf exhibits the parallel venation. So the veins, the size of the vascular bundles are based on the veins, which is almost equal because they have parallel veins. All of them are similar in size. Okay. Then what else you have to remember here is the uh, adaxial epidermis, that is the upper epidermis, a group of large cells, colorless, and a group of large cells are there. So which brings about the which we call it as bulliform or motor cells. So whenever there is water stress, they bring about the curling up of leaves or rolling up of the leaf lamina, and they are reducing the surface area exposed for transpiration. And this sort of curling up of lamina is brought about by the, or leaf is brought about by the motor or bulliform cells, and they are going to help in uh, reducing transpiration. Okay, so this is in gist or in summary the differences between the uh, monocot and dicot leaf. Okay, if you have any doubts, you can get it clarified. And